Loaded scapula and shoulder cars up next. I'm gonna warn you, I'm using a 5-pounder. This is gonna be really tough for me. I would suggest starting pretty light for these if you've never loaded your cars before. Now, 3-point scapular cars, pretty tough. What we're gonna do, right foot a little bit behind left, you're gonna hip hinge back, put your hand on that vertical yoga block. Now, if it bugs your lower back or anything to get down here, if it feels like it's too low, go off something higher. Use a stool, use a table. In this position, 4 scapular cars. Nice long spine, breath in. Proud chest, head squeeze back. I want you to protract, reach to the floor, shrug to the ear, pinch to the spine, pull down to the hip. That's it. Reach forward, protract, shrug up, elevate, retract, pinch back, depress, squeeze down. Nothing else moves. Keep it strict. Squeeze that tricep. Reach, shrug, squeeze back, pull down. One more time this way. Reach for the floor. Shrug up to that ear. Squeeze back, shrug down, hold that and reverse. Retract and elevate, protract and depress. Tough. Retract, shrug up, protract, shrug down. 2 more. Keep that chest proud, long spine. Retract, elevate, protract, depress. Last one. Squeeze back, shrug up, reach forward and shrug down. So slowly stand for a moment. For our shoulder cars, we are going to stay bent over, but now more in an active hip hinge. These are really tough. Do your best. So nice narrow stance. Slowly reach your hips back, soften your knees, try and keep your shins vertical. Really hinge those hips back. Not quite as bent over as we were before. Chest a little bit taller. Fist going to be squeezed low. Now, 4 shoulder cars here. If you need to regress, can always go half kneeling down on the right knee. Want you to externally rotate, start scooping across, driving up, overhead internally rotate. Don't change spine position. Max out IR, turn all the way in, try and set down next to your hip. Go small, fight for control. Extend up, externally rotate, drive high, thumb to the ceiling, start to externally rotate and squeeze across to the floor. Take a moment, get your attention, breath in. ER, start adducting, flexing up, overhead, fight for IR, be strict, keep those shins vertical, max out IR into extension, decelerate down. Extend up, externally rotate, drive that thumb overhead, drive that pinky across, squeeze tight to that ear. We got 2 more reps, keep those hips back. ER, adduct, flex overhead, fight for your control, IR and reach, squeeze all the way to that hip, do your best, I know they're tough, hips back, extending, externally rotating, gonna be breathing hard after this set, ER to finish, 1 more rep, do your best, ER squeezes up, IR reaches back, max out, extension, knuckles turned in, extend, ER, drive overhead, and then turn out to finish. Take a second, catch your breath if needed, but let's flip sides. Bent over rows, weight now on that left hand. We hinge back, left foot, notice a little bit stepped back, lean your weight forward, get the spine long, head proud, chest proud. Take your second, get a breath, squeeze that dumbbell. Want you to protract to the floor, shrug up to that ear, pinch back to the spine and shrug down. It's light here with the dumbbell, so focus on control. Elevate up, pinch back, squeeze down. Focus on keeping your head still, your spine out of the equation. Shrug up, squeeze back, shrug down. Tension in that tricep. 1 more. Protract, elevate, retract, depress. Hold that, reverse. Retract, shrug up, protract, shrug down. So tough this way. Retract, elevate, protract, depress. Last 2, check in. How's that hinge? Spine long, retract, shrug up. Protract, shrug down. Last 1, pinching back, shrugging up, reaching forward, and shrug down to finish. Gonna stand for a moment, catch your breath out. Time for those hip hinge shoulder cars. So narrow feet, hip hinge back, keep those shins nice and vertical. Chest nice and tall, little more here, Danny. Fist squeeze low, tension on that dumbbell, externally rotate, scoop across. Drive overhead, internally rotate and reach behind you. Max it out, chest squeeze forward, finish next to the hip. Scapula first, extend up high. Externally rotate, drive overhead. Max out ER, keep externally rotating across to finish. Take a second. Hips back, Danny. Challenge that hip hinge. Scapula sets. ER, start driving up. Shoulder stays low. Turn and reach. Reach, more IR. More IR. Challenge yourself. How strong are you in these loaded shoulder cars? Extending up. Externally rotate. Keep that scap involved. Great job, Danny. Don't turn that chest. Challenge your hip hinge. Vertical shins every time. Externally rotate. Scoop. Drive overhead. Max out IR. Keep reaching. Squeeze tight to that hip. Challenge all that tension. Externally rotating out of extension. Chest stays squeezed forward. finish overhead. You got one more. Challenge that hip hinge, best rep yet. ER, reach across, drive overhead, shoulder stays low, max out that IR, squeeze into your hip, do your best here, reversing last time, extending, externally rotating, driving overhead, chest stayed forward, decelerate down. As you can see, loaded shoulder cars and a hip hinge, super tough. To finish up our homework, we gotta hit our elbows and our wrists. Please come down to a half kneel, keep that dumbbell in your yoga block handy. So half kneeling position, we've got loaded elbow cars. Love a loaded elbow car, it's a great option. They're harder than you think. Please go slow. Squeeze that dumbbell, all you gotta do, supinate, turn that palm outside of your bicep, now squeeze up like a curl. Do your best to keep your palm showing outside of your shoulder. Pronate, flip across, and now extend down slowly. Really fight to decelerate. Supinate, flex up, palm outside of shoulder. Pronate, flip that palm across the shoulder, extend down. I told you they're hard, go slow. Supinate, squeeze up. Don't flex your wrist, don't swing that arm. Pronate, control the way down. You got one more this direction. Supinate, squeeze your bicep, fight up, turn that palm across, and extend down. Now we're gonna stay there, have to reverse curl up, palm inside of shoulder, tough. Supinate, show that palm out, extend down, control that rep. Continue, pronate, squeezes up, keep your tension. Try and pop whatever you're holding, really control that supination into extension. Two more, pronate, squeeze. Knuckles inside of shoulder, flip that hand, extend down. One more time, pronate, fights up, supinate, controls down. So as you finish through that fourth elbow car, grab your yoga block, come low. If you can sit into sitsa, please do so. Otherwise, maybe you're in quadruped. But I just want you to rock your weight forward. We've done these before, but we're gonna use our level 2 setup to block out our elbows so we can really get strict wrist cars. Again, as you can see for me, I'm up in a quadruped position. Danny's down in her sitsa. Adjust whatever's comfortable for you. I want you to really squeeze that dumbbell for wrist cars. In, knuckles to the floor, squeeze out, and fight up. Loaded wrist cars, probably my favorite option to build in here. Really good way to load that wrist and to see what you need to work on. In and down, out and up. Again, only 4 reps each way. Fight through flexion. Don't cheat me. In, last rep this direction. Extending, drive those knuckles out. Flex up, gonna freeze and reverse. Drive out. Make sure your elbow is still. That's why we're in this position. Knuckles in, flex them up, drive them out. Continue. Use that breathing. Here's 3 this direction. Got 1 more rep as you get into flexion. Finish through that 4th. Drive those knuckles out. Extend them down. Squeeze them in and fight up. Last 2 drills of our homework. You're back in a half kneel down on that left knee. Let's get our left elbow and wrist. So down on that left knee, squeeze that dumbbell. Nothing changes. We start by supinating. Turn dumbbell out. Squeeze up, palm outside of shoulder. Fight for it. Pronate across and extend down. A lot easier for me on this side. Supinate, squeeze up, pronate, and squeeze down. Go slow. I've made this joke before, but what hand do you hold your cell phone in? You're gonna find whichever side that is a lot harder to control your elbow cars. For me, that's my right elbow. Left elbow, a lot smoother. Supinate, squeeze up, pronate, fight down. One more time. Check in. You should notice that difference. Last one this way. Supinate, flex, pronate, and extend. In this position, reverse now. Squeezing up, knuckles inside of shoulder, fight for that rotation out and extend. Go slow. Pronate, flexion. Supinate, extension. Go slow here. Keep your elbow tight to your ribs. Don't let it jump around. Pronate, squeezes up. Supinate, extends down. Last rep this direction. Pronate, fight up. Use your breathing, use your tension. Supinate, control the way down. Don't get sloppy. Last drill of our homework, down on that yoga block for our wrist cars. Grab that dumbbell, supinated position, block yourself on the yoga block. Again, sitsa's fine, quadruped's fine, whatever's comfortable for you. Tension on that dumbbell. I want you to squeeze knuckles in, extend down, don't rush these, fight out, and flex up. These should be super hard. Really squeeze that dumbbell. Keep all 5 fingers crushing into it. Radiate, flex, squeeze in, fight down. A little bit tougher for me on this wrist. Interesting, always assess. Flex, in, down, and out. 1 more this direction. From flexion, knuckles drive inside of forearm. Squeeze your knuckles for the floor. Fight out. Squeeze them to the sky. Hold that reverse. Drive out. Squeeze down. Fight in. Use your breathing up. Continue. Extending. Knuckles inside of wrist. Fight knuckles to the sky. Drive them out. Last 2. Knuckles drive in. Flex up. Drive them out, really fight. It's so tough this direction for most of us. Continue. Last rep here. Flexion, drive out, squeeze down, squeeze in, and finish through. That brings us to the end of week 9 homework. Notice again, we are adding our load. Phase 3, progressive overload. You can expect a lot of loaded options coming. We will show you regressions throughout, don't worry, but get excited for our applied class and our strength class this week. They're total body efforts and they're gonna be super tough. Drop us some feedback, let us know how you did.